Welcome to A Spot of Story with Danielle Grandinetti. Cozy up with your favorite beverage as we chat about sweet romance, thrilling suspense, and fascinating history. Perhaps you'll find your next read in one of these stories. In this episode of A Spot of Story, I'm chatting with Roseanna M. White about her book, The Island Bakeshop. Roseanna White is a best-selling Christy Award-winning author who has long claimed that words are the air she breathes. Having successfully launched 2 homeschool grads, she now spends her time writing fiction, designing book covers, and pretending her house will clean itself. Roseanna is the author of a slew of historical novels that spans several continents and thousands of years. Spies and war and mayhem always seem to find their way into her books, to offset her real life, which is blessedly ordinary. You can learn more about her and check out her full books at rosannamwhite.com. Roseanna, welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here.
I'm excited to have you on my podcast. This podcast really unites readers over the love of story. So I love to start with a question about reading. So what is your current read?
I've got some nonfiction going. I was reading one called Assignment Rescue by Varian Fry for research purposes. It's his autobiography about how he rescued artists from France in 1940. So that one is cool. In fiction world, I'm reading one for endorsement that is not out yet. It's called Firewing by Amanda Wright, and it is a fantasy. So that's my current fiction read. And I've got Morgan L. Bussey's her Nordic series, that trilogy. The third one is waiting on my Kindle also in, pre-release form. So that's next up.
Oh, fun. Her books are on my to-be read list for when I have a chance to read something out of genre, because I've heard amazing things about her books.
They're very good. And I just finished reading The French Kitchen by Christy Cameron too. Okay. So, a little bit of everything here.
You have to read widely. Moving on to The Island Bakeshop. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about it, and then I'll ask a few more questions.
Okay, so last year I had one out called The Island Bookshop, and this is a sequel, though it is a standalone. You can read it on its own. So it's set in Avon, North Carolina. The main body of the book is contemporary, but we do have a historical thread as well. So that's always super fun, a little dual time going on. In the contemporary line, we are following Harper Dailey, who is inheriting a bakery in Avon. Her parents have run it all her life. Grandparents ran it before that. She had been in Savannah running an upscale bakery, and then has to come home to help out because dad had a heart attack and just needs to slow down. He's okay, but needs to slow down. So she's back in her hometown and is not terribly sorry about it because she had an ex-fiance actually in Savannah that she's quite glad to get away from. On the other hand, we have Beckett Mills, who runs a fishing charter. He is an ex-Navy, retired Navy, and no one knows a lot about his past. He's very, very mum about it, other than the fact that he was in the Navy. But no one knows anything about his family, and he likes it that way. He's just very closed off, and he has a good reason. And he, likes Harper a little too much, but tells himself, no, you have to stay away from her for her own good. But he walks into the bakery, and she's being harassed by this total jerk who is clearly her ex-boyfriend. So what's a heroic Navy guy to do but go up and pretend to be your boyfriend to scare him off? So, fun. He thinks it'll just, help out for the moment. And then they learn that this guy has actually bought the building the bakery is housed in and will be there all summer. So they're kind of stuck with this lie he just told. So fake dating trope, which their book-loving friends very quickly shout out. So yeah, and then we get one of my favorite lines in the book, which is him going, no, it's not fake. We're not lying. We're no troping, okay? So great fun. I love poking fun at the genres that I write in a little bit here and there.
Okay, that sounds like a ton of fun. And I don't like the fake dating trope that's like planned out, but those that accidentally happen because somebody is stepping in to save the other one and then it just snowballs are like just perfect.
Yeah, right. It's all about finding the fun way to do something and to balance something. And they're very upfront with their friends and family about it. Like everyone knows that, no, we're just going to start seeing each other to keep her safe.
Right. And then everybody else is like, yeah, no, you're not.
It Yeah, it made for tons of fun, and they just have, like, so much witty banter and a
Oh, that
very
sounds
fun
great.
relationship, so she Harper is poking fun at him the whole time too, going, "Oh, well, in this fake relationship, do I get fake anniversary presents? If I get fake anniversary presents, I want this."
Okay,
It's
that's
it's a lot.
brilliant. Well, so what does a day in the life of one of your characters look like?
Oh my goodness. Harper runs a bakery, which means her hours are insane. So, I had in my head, oh, she gets up early. That's okay, right? No big deal. You've done some prep before bed. You go to bed, you get up early. Well, when I actually talked to a baker, she's like, no, I get up at 10 p.m. and that's when my day starts. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, having talked to a baker in Hatteras Island, so on location, she told me she actually wrote out this wonderful email with her schedule down to the minute. And it was crazy. Like everything tastes so much more delicious now when I know how much work they put into this stuff. So she gets up in the middle of the night and starts her day. And just there, yeah, the schedule of what goes into the oven while other things are rising, and you're baking this and you're prepping that, and there's 10 different timers going off for different things. And by the time the doors open, you've already put in like 6 or 7 hours, and then the doors open. And so then you're doing the customer thing, and you might get some sleep there in the afternoon if you're lucky. So that's Harper's schedule. In the summer, it is absolutely insane. It's quieter the rest of the year because it's a vacation spot. So they're catering to tourists and making most of their money 3 months out of the year. Bex is still intense, but not quite that crazy. As a charter fisherman, he is definitely up before dawn. Usually they head out at 5:30 or 6 a.m. out from the bay. So out on the water for the day. So he does two different kinds of fishing charters. You could have a half day or a full day. So the half day would just be, in the sound or out in the near ocean, or then you can do the deep sea, and that's a full day thing. So, but that's also kind of weather dependent. If there were big bad storms, you don't go out. So fishermen, everything's a little iffy. And that again is mostly during the summer and quieter during the winter.
We'll talk about research in a minute, but first, what was your favorite scene to write and why?
Oh, my favorite scene. Okay, there's a sailboat scene. I don't know much about sailing, so I was making it all up and doing some research on, okay, how do we get a sailboat away from a marina? I don't know. Let's learn all this. So they're out on the sound. They're not even out very long, but it's very innocently sensual. I say sensual as in all of your senses are being used. I don't mean it in a bad way. But, it's also a very romantic scene too. But he's teaching her how to sail and showing her what it's like to, feel the boat move. And it also is interrupted by something that ends up showing her his secret. So you got to love the reveal scenes, especially when the reveal is nothing bad. And it was not anything bad, but it's still one of his secrets. So yeah, very much like that scene.
Speaking of researching sailboats or not researching sailboats, what is some unique research you needed to write this story?
There was certainly learning how to run a bakery, which I've always been an avid home baker, and that is enough. I do not need to ever be a professional baker, I have decided. So I was very, very just lucky, blessed that the owner of a bakery down there took the time out to talk to me. That was very wonderful. And also, there was some fun research in the historical line about hurricanes, specifically one hurricane in particular in, we'll see if I remember the year. I think it was 1836. There's been a lot of other years I've been writing about it in the last year, so I might be wrong on that, but I think that was what it was. And it was a hurricane that reshaped the Outer Banks. So the islands as we know them today were very different before that. It actually cut through the islands and created inlets that had not been there. And looking at it from our perspective, looking back, it actually allowed shipping to open up, because then they didn't have to go all the way around the island chain to get to the mainland anymore. You could cut through the middle. So it increased how just economically sound the Outer Banks could be, but it was a horrific hurricane. And reading the firsthand accounts about it, it was like the sound, the waters were piled up, the wind had just blown the sound almost dry in some places. And anytime water is not where water should be, right? Like that's scary. And so it was just crazy reading these accounts. So of course I had to put that in there, right?
Absolutely.
So we had to have a hurricane that reshaped the islands.
So what was a bit of research that you wish you could have included that didn't make it in?
I didn't do a ton of like Beck doing his job. So Beck on the fishing boat, like I did some research on, what kind of boat would he have? Where would it have been built? All of that good stuff. But I didn't really have the time to have him out on the water with, a charter. It was always just at the marina, at the docks. So, if it were a longer book, it would have been fun to have a scene where he's actually out being Captain Mills. But yeah, no time. Not that long a book.
Side quest, little short story, so we can see it anyway. What was the inspiration behind this story?
So funny, when I sent my publisher Guidepost the idea for book 1, and I called it the Island Bookshop, and it was all about sisters who run this bookshop, right? My favorite things, books and the beach. It was great. And they were like, awesome. And then next you need the Island Bakeshop, and then you need the Island Bike Shop. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what? Okay. So they handed me the title, and obviously that dictated what was going to be in it. And so I then incorporated it into book 1. I had Harper in book 1 and the bakery and her reason for being home. So I did set it up. I knew it was going to happen. And then I really just thought it would be fun to take somebody who is literally running a place called Sunshine Bakery and put her with the Island Grump. And, we've got grumpy sunshine, we've got fake dating, and they make a really fun combination. So
That's awesome. I love that. Oh, this sounds like a great book to read. So what encouragement do you hope readers will take away from your story?
I hit the same themes over and over again in my stories, but in this one, Beck is dealing with issues where he is afraid of himself. He's afraid of his history. He's afraid of his own genetic makeup because he sees what other people in his family have done. And so one of the themes is to know that you're enough, and that even when you have a predisposition to something, or even when there is, someone in your family who's gone off the rails, and even things like mental health, physical health, they don't have to be what defines you. They are part of you, but that doesn't have to be limiting, right? Like you can learn to use it. You can learn to trust God to help you be better when it comes to things like genetic predispositions for things. And you don't have to settle for that lie, right? Like you don't have to believe that your weaknesses are greater than God's strength.
That's really beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today and talking about the Island Bakeshop. Where can readers find you and your book online?
You can find the book pretty much everywhere. The ebook is in Kindle Unlimited even, so you can grab that there. Paperback is available wherever books are sold. You can get signed copies from me on my website, where you can also find me. And you can find me on all social media too. Everything is Roseanna M. White. So website is roseannamwhite.com, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. It's all Roseanna M. White. I was very lucky and could find that handle everywhere. So there we go.
Yes, and I will link to it all on the show note page, so it'll be easily found. Thank you once again for joining us, Roseanna, and listeners for giving us a listen.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to A Spot of Story with Danielle Grandinetti. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Let us know by leaving a comment below, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Discover more information about today's book by visiting A Spot of Story online at daniellegrandinetti.com/podcast. Happy reading!